Clipsiles. The White House, Washington, D.C. Mr. President. Is it urgent, Admiral Grandstock? I'm on a visual call with the First Lady, replied President Chance. The Admiral poked his nose around the doorframe entrance into the Oval Office, glimpsing the President talking to a visual of Eleanor Chance on the Ice Lab screen. Okay. Sorry to bother you, sir. The Defence Secretary, Hunter Clovis, has confirmed that the special project is complete. The leaders of the Western Alliance want to talk before they sign off on it. Excuse me, Eleanor, said the President, placing his wife on hold. Admiral, it ain't happening in the next hour. They can wait. Apologise on my behalf. Okay, sir, said the Admiral. He left the West Wing to return to the office where Hunter and the Secret Projects team were waiting for the President. So sorry, honey buns. Grandstock is eager to prove that the Western Alliance is still numero uno. Can't say I fault him. A real patriot, that one. Anyhow, what did you say about Aia? Asked the President. He's one sweet military man, but no good in the upcoming general election. Time to start thinking strategy. I have a few ideas, fill you in later. So, as I was saying, Shira has returned to Aia, bringing Kenya back with her. I don't think Palintir took the throne. Looks like Kenya is going to be their third empress in under 5 years. The President interjected. You don't say. Well, how interesting. Imperial Minister Anitsu will have some real power now that she is on the throne. Eleanor took back the conversation. Yes, Declan, more than you think. I hear they are really serious and likely to be married soon. Who did you hear that from? Asked the President. Joan, Queen of England. You know that woman knows everything, answered Eleanor. You don't say. We pondered offering her a job in the Central Intelligence Agency, but her comp request was too damn high, he replied with a grin. Too funny. Focus, said Eleanor, switching up the tone. Declan, now is your chance to firm up a human relationship with Aia. Get the Western Alliance in alignment with Anitsu before he becomes either a powerful consort or, as I suspect, the Emperor. We don't have a great track record with those people, replied a deflated President. Repair it, Declan. Take Queen Joan with you if you have to. Hell, take her and her whole family if necessary. Wait, most of them are in outer space. Well, take King Arthur at the very least, suggested Eleanor. Well, what can we offer? Asked the President. Those goddamn top-secret clipsiles you and Admiral Grandstock keep whispering about behind my back, like I'm oblivious, responded Eleanor. How do you know about that? You probably know more about them than I do, even though I keep asking for updates, asked the surprised President. The whole intelligence community is talking about clipsiles. They say they will guarantee we win the war, plus a good way to keep skilled Americans employed and focused until the global economy recovers from what happened in the asteroid belt, explained Eleanor. Yes, quite right. Surprisingly, more accurate than some of my experts. If only I could hire you too, responded the President. So I offer Anitsu an in on the plan to test our clipsiles in the Alpha Centauri system. He's going to freak out knowing his lover's siblings are out there. Not if we guarantee their safety. I hear the technology is safe, right? From the other side of the screen, she looked close up at the President. Encouragingly safe, honey. Nothing's perfect. My sources tell me even Prescient misses the mark from time to time. Everything is happening so fast nowadays There's no such thing as a test run these days, grumbled President Chance. Honey, you'll just have to take a chance. No laughter followed the inadvertent pun. What is the alternative? Probed the President. The Western Alliance fractures completely once the consumptionists return with all the glory, and the soul of America will be dragged down to hell with the failed ghost of the Western Alliance. Eleanor paused. You see, Declan, you never had any new options. You only had the same old choices and moments when you were brave enough to take them or not. You must form an alliance with the Nitsu. You too will be the only nations with large enhanced populations, the only two with something to lose if the consumptionist movement assumes control of this planet. War is a political option, not the actual politics. There is an old English saying, politics makes strange bedfellows. Who would have thought that the consumptionists could have secured an alliance with Silk Road and that England would join them? Unbelievable, but it is a fact. Start thinking, consider Anitsu, Barnegas and South Africa, if you recall, are all related from a separate strand of that family, the House of Oromia. They are very influential in Aegean politics. Kenya will be marginalised for the near future. Declan, this is your chance to pivot and reposition America and the Western Alliance. Crush the aspirations of the Zucks, expounded Eleanor. Gosh, honey, sure is a lot to take in, exclaimed the President. Chancey, baby, remember, no more test runs. Think about it and be ready to roll. I'm going to network an invitation for you to visit Abuja to welcome the new Empress home. The rest is up to you. Bye-bye, baby, added Eleanor. The visual ceased. Abuja, Imperial Aia. A group of Lethkalajas sat in a circular group close to the ivory circle in the palatial palace. It was midnight. Stars flickered faintly far up into the distant night sky. They held hands, looking up into the constellation of faraway stars. Eyes open, then eyes shut. They began to chant, a low-level humming that mimicked nature's sounds, heard only when humankind shuts up. Bittis, High Priestess. Bittis, High Priestess, was the translation to their chanting. Injata, the most senior amongst their order, second only to Bittis, broke the circle, taking her hands back from her sisters. The High Priestess is silent, she proclaimed. The others turned to her, one of them pointing out, this is because she is no longer in our solar system. Then who will place a crown into the hands of Empress Kenya and witness her place it upon her own head? Asked Injata, adding, and speak truth to power. That must fall to you, granddaughter of Mimajo Binkua. Then I will warn the new Empress of what is to come, replied Injata Binkua. Private meeting room, White House. Come in, Mr. President. How is the First Lady doing? We don't see her around the West Wing much these days, asked the Defence Secretary, Hunter Clovis. How do, Hunter? She's fine, thanks for asking, replied President Chance. He walked into the centre of his executive team, then stood in the middle and looked around at each of them. What's up, Mr. President? Asked Admiral Grandstock. I've been thinking, Archibald. Yes, so what, Mr. President? You're always thinking. You look different this time. Kinda surprised, observed the Admiral. The President looked up at the ice lab screens projecting the leaders of the Western Alliance. There was a talking head from England, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and a separate representative from the European Union. The President blushed before blurting out, "Everybody here looks like me, even you." He pointed at the European Union representative. "Yep, you too, Frau Anredfranger. Even you look like me, if they cut your hair." "So what is up with that, Mr. President? At least you know you're in good company." "The best," laughed out Hunter. "Stop, Hunter. This is not funny. If I were in good company, the best, like you say, why are we on political life support? Why are the Zucks in outer space leading Earth's armies or public optic string news feeds quoting Diana Tapp when it comes to events occurring on Earth? Any goddamn benefit of everyone looking like me has gone to anyone who does not look like me. When was the last time you received an optic string feed praising anything we did? Instead, they are all counting down to our demise as a global force." He looked at Hunter, who quickly filled the silence. "Mr. President, the election is coming up. We can sprinkle a few off-white faces around the campaign trail. Sounds good, right? Now let's get back to discussing these clipsiles. Real good weapons of mass destruction. The best, if I don't mind saying so myself. Hey, how about we stick images of the stars and stripes all over them so all out there in the Milky Way know who's their daddy next time they get all riled up." President Chance interrupted him. "Hunter, stop!" "Whoa! I hear you, Declan. No need to get all hostile. I'm just presenting talent. Don't shoot the messenger," responded Hunter. Admiral Grandstock put a hand on Hunter's shoulder. "You're good, Hunter. Don't take it personal. Our president has something on his mind. The clipsiles can wait. We need to know what's percolating up there in Declan's head." He turned to the president. "Thank you, Archibald. I cannot speak for the leaders of the Western Alliance. They can search their own souls, but here in the White House, I need to feel the many hearts of America, and I have only been feeling one." He looked at Hunter, who lowered his head. "We have to reach out to the global community. To be more accurate, the global community in the region of Imperial Aia. They have the largest enhanced population in the Milky Way. And guess who comes a very far second in that chant?" "France!" blurted out Hunter. "No, America!" shouted back the president. "Imagine what an alliance between the USA and AIA would bring us. The mutual benefit would be sufficient to check the rise of the consumptionist movement. We cannot parade around the globe looking like the Stepford husbands. We must mix it up, so we at least look credible. We can work on sounding plausible once we get on the road." Hunter, being innately honed to business, heard "exploit untapped markets and secure the largest slice of the pie." It registered in a big way. "Mr. President, that's a great idea. The best I heard in a long while. When do we roll out? We have diversity right outside." He pointed to the main entrance. "They've been out there ever since the last incumbent went populist, but I think we ought to add one of them there members of the Micronet Community. Plenty in Silicon Valley. We can spin it, call it a secondary role, and I have a contact in California who we can trust." The president interrupted. "Let me guess, he looks like me, right? You are a fine, handsome American man. So is he," replied Hunter. "But he got talent, big in the wellness industry, and recently acquired the Alcatraz Island in the middle of the San Francisco Bay." Fascinating. That's still a tourist site, right? Why'd he want to buy that? Asked Admiral Grandstock. The place has been hemorrhaging money for almost 3 years. No one wants to go there anymore. The last tourists who visited said it was spooky, downright too friendly, felt like they were being groped by the goddamn ear. Fancy that, a perverted rock, disclosed Hunter. Is that a fact? Replied the president, looking at Admiral Grandstock. Anyhow, one thing at a time. Hunter, get your contact to set up a diplomatic secondment. We need a member of the Micronet community within 2 days. Shira has returned from Krator with Princess Kenya. We think she is going to be crowned Empress very soon. If so, we need to visit and officially welcome her back to Earth and congratulate her. Possibly provide our assistance to the current steward, Imperial Minister Anitsu. To do what? Derisively interrupted Hunter. I don't know, Hunter. Be creative. Perhaps with the coronation or something. Start practicing nice. We are officially in the friendship business now. Palatial Palace, Abuja. Neither could help themselves upon sight of the other breaking protocol as the Aegean craft sent on a diplomatic mission to Organet finally returned home. The ramp was lowered to ground level. Empress Kenya dashed out toward the steward, Imperial Minister Anitsu. She launched herself, proving to all that she was an Organet, into his arms, and he, proving he was a muscular human man, caught her. Yes, they kissed, and that made the humans in the crowd shed tears of joy, and the enhanced glowed orange and a tinge of red, the colours of contentment and love. Shira, protector of the imperial throne, descended the ramp. She looked more powerful than before when she left on the diplomatic journey. Using human words in Aia's tongue, she spoke. Having seen new worlds and the life and times of the enhanced out there in our Milky Way, Aia truly feels like home to me. She hesitated momentarily to reflect. I am glad to be back home, said the great cat solemnly. From a group of Aian dignitaries assembled to officially meet them, the heart of Aia, Jomo Nkrumah Maninga, emerged looking hale and hearty, with a broad smile upon his face and open arms, which he threw around Shira the moment she closed the space between them. Hugging her, both Shira's heads grinned, the best a big cat can manage to do, but purred better than she grinned, a sign she was overjoyed to see him. He released Shira and stood back. Where is my daughter? Asked Jomo to Shira. Instead, the crowd answered, Over there, our heart. The crowd pointed to Kenya and Anitsu, still kissing, hugging, caressing and smiling into each other's eyes, teary eyes, telling stories that raised a mix of emotions to the surface to be challenged by smiles and kisses and looks of reassurance that better days will come. A tap on her shoulder. Kenya turned, and there was Jomo, intent on crashing her welcome home party of two. Daughter, you forget me so soon. Such is the lot of a father when his daughter finds love. Is this true? Asked Jomo. Kenya let go of Anitsu. No, Baba, never. Come. She wrapped her arms around him. Let me tell you, Baba, how much I love you. She whispered into his ear, telling him many things in that moment, and Jomo emerged from her words with tears in his eyes, too, as he shouted out in the direction of the heavens. Shadu, our daughter has returned home. Barnegus approached to greet Kenya and Shira. He threw his arm around Anitsu. Empress, the steward has done well to keep out your empire safe until you returned. Gladly he returns it to you. He winked at Anitsu, who laughed, still giddy in love. Barnegas, how do you know that? Teased Anitsu. Barnegas took a finger and tapped just below his left eye. This eye was watching you all along, though it would never let on, and it reported you did well. I trust this eye. I have known it all my life. It has no reason to lie. He burst out laughing. The crowd followed suit, and roared in laughter, leaving Kenya, Anitsu, and Jomo to roar in laughter too. Shira just roared. A party! We must have a party to welcome them home, and then they can tell us all about their fantastic journey. Who says party? Shouted Barnegas. Loud chanting went up. Party! 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 Barnegas turned to Anitsu. Well, steward, your final decree, what is it to be? Anitsu looked at Kenya. She had a twinkle in her enhanced eye. He smiled and turned to face the crowd. I decree a welcome home party. This is my final order now. Our Empress has returned home. He kissed Kenya again, but this time on her hand. She stopped him from giving her a second kiss there, shouting out, Once upon a time my mother, our beloved first Empress, told me she never encouraged my father to hide his love for her. She held up the hand Anitsu kissed. This, Aians, is hiding your love from me. The crowd hummed in agreement. Some shouted out, Steward, this is not France. Kiss our Empress on her lips. Kenya raised her arms and repeated her mother's words to the delight of the crowds, turning to Anitsu with all the drama of a mid-20th century big-budget movie production. She shouted, Empress or otherwise, I care not. Kiss me, adding, like you truly care. Her arms found themselves around his taut neck, and he blushed, though none could tell, head arching in, his lips upon hers for all to witness and share. There you have it, a true testament to their love, remarked Jomo to Barnegas and Shira. And with that we need to discuss, be he emperor or consort, for surely they will be wed, said Barnegas in a low voice to Jomo, then turning to Shira, who by the look on both her feline faces he could tell, she too concurred. Cratol, Enceladus. Ariane slept. Diana leant over and kissed her forehead. She looked like a baby, innocent and cuddly. Diana pulled the satin sheet up to cover Ariane's extended sapphire and crushed diamond-encrusted fingernails. There, now she looks like a cuddly tot, thought Diana. A cyberscribe approached. Diana turned to receive his audience. Yes, Trezé? How does the cycle find you? Was the thought she conveyed. First dictator. He was interrupted. Forgive me, Trezé. Let me be clear. Cratol is not a dictatorship, and I am not a dictator, nor first dictator, and neither is she, came a clarifying reply from Diana's mind while pointing at Ariane. I am Diana Tapp, and we are Cratol's first citizens. She continued, and to add, Cratol is a safe, just, and technologically enhanced, enlightened world, where all enhanced peoples throughout the Milky Way are welcome and encouraged to visit or to seek legal residency. Please accept my apologies if our world's mission, for a protracted nano-moment, became confused. Treze's eyelids flickered quickly while he absorbed Diana's thought. I see you captured all of that? Yes, you do have my permission to publish my comments via public access optic string. Now, what thought were you going to convey before I interrupted you? Thank you, First Citizen. I was going to tell you that 23 rebels have accepted 100-year exile terms in lieu of a trial and are planning to leave Krator to take up residence in the asteroid belt. They have provided everything they know to our investigators. It appears the 23 rebels were never physically approached by anyone. Their thoughts of armed rebellion were implanted into their minds. But they accept that the physical act of attempted murder was theirs and so pled guilty. The charges against the remaining 1,310 are found or were found to be baseless and without merit. They were dismissed. We have no data to share regarding Councillor Chaldeon. By the way, is it acceptable to use this form of address for him? Asked the cyberscribe. Yes, the Great Assembly has been restored to its former position in our Constitution, although once found, arraigned, and if convicted, he will forfeit that title, came thought from Diana. First Citizen, the Assembly is 3/4 empty. We have sent word to our fleet to recall our councillors, but we have had no response, suggesting they have jumped. Described thought from Treze. This is unfortunate. We will just have to proceed as is until they return, came thought in response from Diana. Is that all, Treze? Yes, First Citizen. By the way, I have been informed that the royal party from Earth are outside. They would like to speak with you. Thank you. I will come out, replied thought from Diana. Here she comes, said Princess Elixiel, clearly excited to share space and time with Diana Tapp. Hello all. Come, give me a hug, a group hug, I believe they call it back on Earth, said Diana. Right first time, First Citizen, confirmed Elixiel. What about Prescient? Asked Palintir. Will it permit it? Yes, unless it senses animosity in the target object or its host, quickly explained Elixiel. How do you know that? Asked Elaine. Oh, don't tell me. You researched it in the info memory Galleria before it went offline and returned rendering gibberish, right? Wrong, replied Elixiel. It was online rendering gibberish before the return of Diana. Once she returned, it went offline and returned rendering sense. She grinned. Elaine looked at her with a broad smile. I hate you, she mouthed. Elixiel smiled and turned with open arms in the direction of Diana. The others followed suit and they embraced, forming a large group hug. Diana whispered, Thank you, as many times as possible. Only Professor Tafkaya stood back, watching admiringly, with the occasional dab at the corners of his eyes to wipe away instances of fluff that seemed to be rather too moist, he thought. Well, Diana, we are leaving for Alpha Centauri now, said Palintir. We wanted to jump with the main fleet, but Plan B works just as well. We hope to see you again if all goes well. Diana interjected. Aeon Prince, look! Diana pointed to El Caterina's belly. There can be no ifs. Start using will when discussing your intentions. She laughed. The unborn Centauria will not accept ifs or buts as a strategy. She intends to be born. Gosh, she has already made her mark in the history of our kind, and she is yet to be born. Trust, Prince Palintir. Have faith. You have a lovely family. She looked at Ekaterina, Elaine, and Elixiel, not forgetting those on Earth and now in Alpha Centauri. Palintir, you will return, and we in Krator will never ever forget your heroics that preserved many enhanced lives. I hear they intend to name one of our cylindrical structures after you in honour of your sacrifice. I'll keep you posted. Tafkaios caught Diana's eye. I must let you go. Time remains our chief whip in these cycles. She kissed Palintir on his cheek, released the group, pulled Ekaterina back to hug her some more. Princess of England. Now we know Prescient works, you must come back again. Well, you will have to, because the University of Krator receives all enhanced children from the elites who value the highest quality enhanced education. Remember, I owe you and her in there one. She paused. When the time comes, please do not hesitate to call on me. I promise I will be there for you, both of you. She kissed Ekaterina some more and placed her hand on her belly. Centauria did not disappoint, and a warm red glow expressed itself as shimmering light developing around Diana's hand and the place it rested on Ekaterina's tummy. Diana, I am getting some interesting information from the data we captured. Thank you, came secluded thought from Tafkaios. Me too. Be safe, Krator University's finest professor. So humble of you to take a position as a cyber scribe on Earth. Safe travels. I want to see you again. Diana waved at the Earth party as they boarded their craft. Blast off. The craft left the Enceladian atmosphere. I thought she was supposed to be cold and calculating. Isn't that her reputation? Asked Elixiel. I was most surprised, actually. All the enhanced I have met seem to be quite emotional when things don't go their way, quite to the contrary of what I was told to expect. How confusing. She is more human than you and me. She just keeps it locked away inside. A moment like this forced her to let her human out, replied Ekaterina, as Enceladus, planet Saturn, and its rings became a distant sight behind their craft as it made its way through deep space in the direction of the Kuiper Belt. Treze returned. He approached Diana. Yes, Treze? Came thought from Diana without turning. The humans of the Western Alliance are planning to launch Clipsiles. Are they aware of the risks? They do not appear to have discussed the risks. I must go to Earth to speak to President Chance. He needs to know the risks. With respect, First Citizen, Pax Kratolia is too fragile for you to depart so soon. Oh, understood. Ask Ambassador Julia Fairlease to come see me. Yes, First Citizen. It is time for her to make her debut on Milky Way's stage, now that Elan has been promoted to Field Marshal and Trilok sleeps amongst the glorious dead. Buckingham Palace, London, Earth. Arthur! King! Where are you? Shouted Queen Joan. Arthur! Oh, very well. First Lady, please excuse him. He must be busy with other matters of state. Go on. I'll just have to update him later as you were saying. Not a problem, Your Majesty. Please call me Eleanor. It would have been good to hear his voice. As I was saying, Declan plans to personally visit England early next week on one of those whirlwind international tours our men love to do. The Queen and the First Lady both chuckled. Not to say that they are not achieving anything, but the world keeps spinning, if you know what I mean. Oh, Eleanor, I do, interjected Queen Joan. Go on. Yes, well, Declan plans to go to Abuja to welcome back Empress Kenya, and I was thinking, the Queen interrupted, and I was thinking too. And yes, Arthur and I would appreciate an opportunity to welcome Kenya home too. Shall we leave after he visits the Prime Minister? Following their last meeting, the scheduled meeting should be very brief. Eleanor interjected. Yes, very brief indeed. Did you see her? Declan told me. How brazen. Eleanor proceeded to do an imitation of the British Prime Minister, Rachel Macefield. Blah, blah, blah. We believe the consumptionist movement represents our future and the Western Alliance our past. The Queen wailed out in laughter. Eleanor, stop. You'll get me executed if they find out. But what an excellent impression. You should do that when we hold our next royal banquet. I'll be sure to bring my A game, Your Majesty. I can also do a good impersonation of Bergie. Not to be outdone, Queen Joan interjected. Oh, the immediately before or the right after pose she parades around on the world stage as though we are all oblivious to the fact that her rear end has just been pummeled by P. Now, Eleanor screamed out in laughter. Your Majesty, how perceptive. So true, confirmed Eleanor. That was just what I had in mind. I even have the Shanghai Jewel design skirt with the very same strategic zipper too. First Lady, you're so terrible. Absolutely terrible, giggled Queen Joan. Both calm down. Eleanor, you know, I may have a pauper's power at the moment under the English Constitution, but that may change after Kenya becomes Empress. And Queen Joan paused for Eleanor to interject. Politics, Your Majesty, but they say the best we'll get is a human consort, because our heart already set the precedent, observed Eleanor. If Diana was able to weasel around that and put her golden boy on that throne, the House of Windsor must be able to do so too. We will not be outmanoeuvred by the Queen of Tech. You do understand, don't you? Replied Queen Joan. I do, replied Eleanor without being able to finish. Yes, and that's exactly what Kenya needs to say before she gets anywhere near that Aegean throne. Besides, they must make a new crown for her. The old one has jewels representing the new imperators, and those belong to the imperators. At least one of them is still ruling. I hear they have accepted that it is lost, and are mining for diamonds and precious stones in the jewel-rich areas of southern and central Asia as we speak, because they can't get any from the asteroid belt. The quarantine restrictions are still being enforced, explained the Queen. Your Majesty, how impressive! You do know everything, remarked Eleanor. My great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather was Henry VII. Very avaricious, that one. Counted everything. Often. Even the individual diamonds around his wife's neck to ensure she hadn't sneaked one out to a lover or secret Plantagenet relative in distress. It's in my blood, replied Queen Joan. As an aside, and not to be rude, folks tend to take it personal when we Americans discuss skin colour, but how comes you're so brown? Asked Eleanor. The Queen laughed. You Americans! Excuse my bluntness. Either you're stupid or somewhat naive. What do you think was going on in the Caribbean and the Americas when the English were ruling the high seas? What do you mean? History for us in the USA goes back to the Civil War. You'll just have to fill me in, responded Eleanor, looking naive. State-sponsored racial discrimination is really a contemporary, former colonial state thing. It's for those former colonials who don't want to accept that they are the same as those non-white colonials, subjects they think are different from them. Historicism, or altering history, did not start in the 21st century, you know. How so, Your Majesty? Asked the confused First Lady. Because they look more like my ancestors' skin. They convince themselves that they are related to my ancestors. They even produced evidence to prove it. Like my ancestor Henry VII commissioned evidence to prove he was entitled to be king. I am a Fitzroy, descendant, or to be accurate, love child of the English aristocracy. You see, Eleanor, why go so far from home to seduce a woman who looks like someone you could easily bed back home? No, Eleanor, the Queen whispered into the Cellcom line. Back then all men were pigs. Eleanor interjected. Your Majesty, back then? I haven't noticed any changes, as you were saying. She yielded for the Queen to resume. Oh, quite correct, I must agree, replied the Queen. As I was saying, though they would not admit it, they were enamoured with women they discovered in the New World. But initially only the rich and powerful men could afford the trip. The others had to work and fight or frolic with the leftovers, and so my ancestors are indirect descendants of the aristocracy. Makes sense? Eleanor paused to think, then remarked, just like the Greek gods and their multitude of half-mortal kids. Exactly. They were playing deities until immortality eluded them. Then they died of war wounds, syphilis, and old age. Now, let's move on. I will visit Abuja with Declan, and we will not leave until we get a yes on wedding bells and a human rear end sitting next to her on those glossy, varnished Aegean ebony thrones. Understood? Exclaimed the Queen. Yes, Your Majesty. We must do this again. Girls' night out. Oh, it's Hunter. He's trying to ping me on my ice slab. That meathead. He's always talking guns, germs and steel. Now Clipsars are his latest fantasy war toy. Got to go. The line went dead. Kensington, London, England. Lady Fairchild, you have a visitor, said the voice guarding the front entrance to Lady Fairchild's Kensington home. Well, Dotty, ye old device, who is it? Replied Fairchild. Please accept my apologies, milady. It appears to be a Lethkalaja from the Aegean Empire. Shall I invite her in? Replied Dotty the device. Of course, Dotty. What a surprise. And please send a message to my twin, the Baroness. Invite her over. Never thought we would see one of them again. Hurry, Dotty, get your device on. We don't want her to feel unwelcome, ordered Fairchild. Yes, milady, replied Dotty. Fairchild set about primping self and surroundings to present well enough for one of the Lethkalaja to feel comfortable. She turned on the Pickthall tray and streamed holographic images of her family moments, selecting a preference for photos of oneself when one was younger, a good discussion point, she told herself. She opened the window, fresh air wafted in, and evidence of her simmering recent depression was temporarily blown away. May I present a Leth Kalaja from the Imperial Aeon Court at Abuja. Leth Kalaja, please meet Lady Fairchild. Dotty was interrupted. Yes, now please, Dotty, that will be all. She grinned at her guest. Greetings! And to whom do we have the pleasure? Said Fairchild, extending her slender, pedicured left hand. Thank you. I am honoured to make your acquaintance. I am Injata Binkua, and I am second only to Bitis Matumani, she who enthroned our former Empress and Emperor Shajola II, she replied. Oh! Exclaimed Fairchild. Well, where is she then? Injata looked up. Somewhere up there, way up there. She increased her stare to emphasize the way up there. My husband and sons are way up there too, only me here, the odd one out, lamented Fairchild. Excuse me, milady, it is almost 3 o'clock. Will you and your guest be drinking tea this afternoon? Asked Dotty. The device sounded like a ubiquitous captive hidden behind the walls. Injata smiled. Fairchild read it as a yes. Yes, Dotty, please be so kind as to arrange tea for my guest and I. Yes, Lady Fairchild, replied Dotty. How do I pronounce your name, Inyata or Injata? Asked Fairchild. Whichever way that makes you feel most comfortable, Lady Fairchild, replied Injata. Very well, I like that. It exudes a sense of confidence. By the way, what is the head of your order doing up there? Asked Fairchild. She is going to war against the world of Organet in the Alpha Centauri star system. I believe your family will be doing the same, remarked Injata. Yes. You know men. Please, shall we sit? You must be exhausted. You have travelled so far. What do you think of our weather? Fairchild motioned in the direction of the open window, hoping to catch a breeze to steer the conversation away from her family. I like English weather. It is a change from the warm summer humidity of Lagos, which is where I am from, disclosed Injata. Oh, my sister spent some time in Lagos. For the life of me, I couldn't disclose more than that, even if you threatened me with waterboarding. Lady Fairchild, I am Leth Kalaja. We speak truth to power. You are power. Me? Heavens, no! Power? I have not, sorry, interjected Fairchild. Well, I must sit after a statement like that. Sure you won't join me, Injata? I will. She sat opposite Fairchild. Excuse me, ladies. Lady Fairchild, tea is ready, announced Dotty. Thank you, said Injata, smiling. I couldn't wait to say that. I hope that was okay. Yes! She recognised your voice and its level of authority within the immediate reference frame. She is scanning, explained Lady Fairchild. Injata smiled. Interesting. You are so beautiful in your images. Gorgeous, she noted, looking at the Pickfold stream. Oh, so sweet. Thank you, you are very kind, replied Fairchild, chuffed she had been noticed for her beauty. Is that Felix de Silva de Gonzalez, governor of the enhanced military colony on the moon Europa? Inquired Injata, less than sweetly. Why, yes, it is, answered Fairchild. Receiving no answer, she leant in to repeat, emphasizing why and downplaying yes. Injata registered. Sorry, I missed the nuance. Felix is a bad man with bad plans. He will lead your remaining 2 children to ruin. and they will both die before you do." "Time out!" called out Lady Fairchild. A tray floated in from the food preparation area, gently landing itself on a flat surface between both ladies. "Tea is served. Please enjoy the strawberry and lemon shortcake biscuits. Would you—" "Dotty, stop!" snapped Fairchild. "Injata, what are you talking about?" she demanded. "We are vessels of knowledge, and we understand recent wisdom as so. The war this world makes on Organon will be brutal, and many will die, and heroics, bravery, cowardice, greed, violence, treachery, pestilence, disaster, evil, and glorious deeds will find many a stage to perform upon there. Many tears will be shed, and mixed with the blood of the dead, it will fertilize new worlds yet to be born. Margarita, your daughter, was killed by Celicia and Shra, but they were instruments. The hand holding the instrument belonged to Felix, your husband." Lady Fairchild picked up her cup and lemon shortcake biscuit. Her hand trembled, then shook. She dropped the cup, and in the same act, though angrily, she dashed down the lemon shortcake biscuit to join the muck she created. "No, no, no, Inyata! Tell me you are wrong! Say it!" she cried, her voice frail, her eyes tearful, more fluid than not. "Please let me help you," said Injata, putting her cup and saucer down, leaning over to begin clearing up the muck. You need to know the knowledge that has been released to us. You are a lovely lady, though quite old now. You are human, Lady Fairchild, but you still have power over the mighty in our Milky Way. Listen." She moved the cracked saucer and fine china teacup to one side, dabbing at Lady Fairchild's dress and slender pedicured hands to wipe away tea that had splashed there. "You have a part to play in this war. Come with me back to Aia. Say nothing of what I revealed, not even to our Empress or her mighty court. You are bravery personified. In a future that will arrive soon enough, your name will be remembered for many millennia in the history of both humans and enhanced. We humans have an important role to play in this war." Fairchild's face seemed lost, staring at the open window, catching the incoming wind. It peered, lifeless eyes, gazing at nothing, muttering, "Why, Felix, why?" over and over again. "Captain Montrose' daughter." "Lady Fairchild, heed my words," ordered Injata in a profound Aian tone, terrifying and authoritative, all rolled tightly into one, snapping the English lady out of her funk. "Yes, High Priestess," responded Fairchild, attentive, alert, upright, looking oddly, suddenly, noticeably younger. "Or remain here and die in despair. I smelt depression, sadness as I approached your front door. That window ajar will not cure your malaise. To be brave, to be feisty, and embrace your part in this war. This is your true destiny. Yes, you will die because you are human, but do so with fresh air in your lungs, a clear mind, and in full sight of the glorious world you will have conceived, together with we who have been called upon to be brave, just like you." "Excuse me, milady, the Baroness is here. She refused to wait and is coming right in," announced Dotty. "Oh, shut up, ye dotty device! Too late. I'm standing right here, replied Baroness Felia. What on earth is afoot here? Injata, what on heavens are you doing to my sister? For the love of your gods and ours, let her go, demanded the Baroness. No, Felia, it's okay, I'm all right, responded Fairchild, turning proudly toward her. I understand now. Now, how do you know her name? Injata released Fairchild from her will, turned, stood up, then embraced Baroness Felia. She is my godchild, announced Felia. What? But you never said. One acquires quite a lot during a long life. Besides, you never asked. You wouldn't have cared. You were too busy pining after Mr. Smoother-than-Truth itself, Felix. Injata turned to look at Fairchild. Embrace bravery. Throw off your mask of subservience to one who returned your loyalty less. Injata! Don't encourage her. She is an old woman. She needs to rest. Fairchild, isn't it your nap time? Asked Felia. No, sister. No more waiting to die. Meet death. Yes, that's what I'll do. Meet it on my own terms. I'm going to war. And you, twin sister, who, by the way, are also old and sitting waiting for death, will be coming with me. Ladies, pour me a cup of tea. For the life of me, Fairchild, what has gotten into you? It must be the tea. In fact, I'll need a larger cup. Dotty, Dotty! Oh, where is that device when you need her? Yelled Felia. Let's take it one step at a time, godmother. You can let go of me now, countered Injata. Felia released her from the hug, but held her hand and spun her from left to right at arm's length to get a good look at how she had grown. She was impressed. You look very well, all grown up now, and I see by the design on your kente cloth you are the High Priestess. Well done, Injata. Injata smiled and blushed as the Baroness prodded her all over and slapped her bottom. Godmother, please! The Baroness ceased, but continued to behave overwhelmingly happy to see her. Lady Fairchild, we have no time to lose, announced Injata. Fairchild returned a blank look. The Baroness sprinkled a comment into the vocal gap. Why is it that everything in this brave new world starts with, we have no time to lose, or something like that? Everything was needed yesterday. We are perpetually living in late, she remarked. Yes, we must go now, replied Injata. I will wait for you. The enhanced Aeons intend to leave for the war as soon as the new Empress is crowned. Knowledge lends wisdom to us, and we understand that soon Aea will form an alliance with those who once swore to destroy her when she was a fledgling newcomer. But their plan, well, let me use a Western phrase, the best laid plans of mice and men. And you, Fairchild, listen carefully. You must side with the enhanced in all that will happen soon in Aea. The left collegians will take the side of the Empress and the Emperor. She was interrupted. You said Emperor. What Emperor? Queried Fairchild. Forgive me, already I have revealed too much. Come, we must go. I am not enhanced, but still my human mind is under surveillance by powerful humans. Felia, you too come. No time to return home. Let us make our way to the Hyperloop. Quickly, ladies. Well, Felia, how say you? A senior's adventure? Up for it? Felia appeared pensive. We have organic skeletal bodysuits in Aea that enhance your strength and energy levels, and prescient, the human device, will turn you both into goddesses, but it will not slow the aging process. Still, You'll be able to go a few rounds with the best of them. Injata stared out of the window ajar toward the dulling blue sky. Up there, she added. Why didn't you say? That's that at the beginning, cried out Baroness Fellier. Well, let's go. I need to finish my tea first, ladies. Remember, we humans are ever late, so what's the rush? We were always going to be late regardless, noted Fairchild. Wisdom is in you too. I would like to try a strawberry shortcake biscuit with my lemon and honey tea, please, revealed Injata. Jolly good. We'll go after we've cleaned up this scrumptious plate of goodies, responded the Baroness. They all agreed. Remember, none must know your identity. None. Not even your sons. Sparkling sons, we hear. Until the time is right. Yes, but please tell me more about Margarita. I need to know, implored Fairchild. I will tell you what I know, but not here, on the Hyperloop perhaps, where it is hard for them to do surveillance, promised Injata.